Descending the steep slope, the solitary survivor reaches a massive overhanging rock to evaluate the terrain for structural viability. Dropping his heavy pack, he immediately begins clearing the debris, which is not merely about tidying up, but rather establishing a solid foundation for survival. With an axe, he chops down leafy branches to fashion a makeshift broom, sweeping away years of accumulated decay to prepare the ground. Prying embedded stones from the rocky edge, he gathers raw materials while driving a wooden peg to define the exact perimeter of his future sanctuary. This precise boundary is not merely a physical limit, but a psychological commitment, ensuring every action aligns with the master plan. Meanwhile, down by the rushing creek, he selects optimal building stones and saws through a fallen log to secure essential timber for the frame, splitting wood to expose the pristine grain. He constructs a sturdy wooden box using an axe and nails to serve as a custom mold for the mortar. Carrying this heavy container to the riverbank, the survivor prepares the crucial binding agent by mixing river water with dark soil. He churns the mixture into a thick, viscous mortar, creating a crude yet highly effective paste that will ultimately serve as the lifeblood of his stone masonry. This meticulous preparation ensures the foundation remains solid against the elements. Kneeling beside the baseline, he spreads mortar evenly into the excavated trench and presses the first massive stone into the mud for a perfect fit. Stacking subsequent rocks in a staggered pattern, he forces mixture from the seams to maximize structural integrity of the wall base. A gentle tap with the axe handle confirms the stones are immovable, proving the initial foundation is ready to bear the shelter's weight. Refining the stone placement with precise hammer strikes, the builder transports fresh, flat rocks to the workspace and positions a wooden frame above the stone base, troweling thick mud over the stones. He meticulously adjusts the levelness through the mortar's depth, ensuring the structure aligns perfectly with the overall architectural axis. Once the mold is packed and tamped, lifting the frame reveals a perfectly shaped stone column, which is not just a visual success, but a critical structural milestone. Lifting the wooden frame by gravity is not merely a routine check, but a vital verification of the column's structural plumbness before proceeding to the next phase. Returning to the rock face, he fills the top gaps with fresh river mud and heaves a massive flat rock into the junction between the pillar and the overhead cliff, inserting tiny stone chips as shims. He compresses them until the support column achieves an unbreakable state, allowing him to wipe his sweat and admire the flawless load-bearing structure. Venturing deep into the dense jungle, the survivor selects a slender tree and swiftly cuts it down with a handsaw to harvest the necessary timber for the roof. Hauling the heavy trunk back to the camp, he drops it with a dull thud before returning for more wood, straddling the log to make precise vertical cuts. Transporting the segmented timber to the riverbank, he neatly stacks the pieces in a highly organized manner, transforming raw forest resources into manageable construction materials for his shelter. He strips bark with a draw knife, carries the peeled timber to the stone shelter, and wedges a thick vertical support beam into a rock crevice. Securing it with relentless axe blows, he places short wooden blocks on base brackets and stacks slender logs horizontally to form the wall framework. After completing the section, A final heavy strike confirms the structure's unyielding stability against harsh elements. Positioning a vertical doorframe between the stone pillars is not simply an alignment task, but the crucial establishment of the shelter's main entrance and structural core. Inside the dim shelter, light filters through the new window opening as he trims wooden splinters with an axe and clears the corner foundation for the hearth. Placing a heavy rectangular stone slab onto the preset base, he spreads a layer of thick, dark river mud and embeds flat stones to construct a fire-resistant floor. Using a small trowel, he meticulously fills the gaps between stones with mud, adding 2 layers of smaller flat rocks on top. The fireplace structure, tapping the newly placed top slab to ensure a tight fit. He ventures out to find the perfect capping stone and positions a wide gray stone across the opening. Crouching in the narrow ceiling angle, he repeatedly taps and fills with mud until the chimney flue seamlessly connects with the rock layer, ensuring proper smoke ventilation. Carrying 2 peeled thick logs to the riverbank, he cuts them into 4 equal lengths for bench legs and erects a long crossbeam between 2 supports, fiercely driving nails into the joints under the bright sunlight. He sits on the newly formed frame to test its weight capacity before sequentially nailing the seat planks finally. He saws off the excess edges of the seat with a relaxed expression, leaving a clean and sturdy outdoor bench that perfectly complements the flowing river. He carries the completed wooden bench into the stone shelter, carefully placing it against the wall atop a black moisture-proof pad. Inside, dry wood burns thoroughly in the hearth between stone crevices, casting a warm glow that fully illuminates the rugged interior space and validates his effort. Armed with a handmade fishing rod, he walks steadily through the dense forest path toward the downstream creek, casting the line in a smooth arc into the clear current. Meanwhile, back at the shelter, he crouches by the sidewall and meticulously stuffs moss into the gaps between the logs to eliminate any potential drafts. Standing up to inspect the entire exterior, he ensures no wind can penetrate his well-sealed wooden fortress, significantly improving the thermal insulation. The float suddenly dips, prompting an immediate and decisive rod lift, as a vibrant fish breaks the water surface, rewarding his patience with a fresh catch. Unhooking the prize on the grass, he holds the struggling fish firmly and places it into a submerged metal mesh bag to keep it fresh for later consumption. Having completed the final moss seal on the structure, he brushes the dirt from his hands and takes a deep, satisfying breath, quietly admiring the fully enclosed and weatherproof shelter he has built with his own hands. In the narrow space before the hearth, he carefully fills the remaining gaps with gravel, finishing the last section of the stone floor to ensure a level surface. Stepping back into the creek, he forcefully pulls up the submerged wire trap, revealing a flash of silver, and dragging several plump trout energetically jumping within the net. He neatly arranges the 3 large fish on a riverside stone slab and begins the meticulous process of cleaning them, securing a vital food source for the coming days. Sliced bread, cucumbers, and tomatoes are neatly arranged on the wooden table. He retrieves a smoked fish from the rack for a hearty meal. Sitting by the hearth, he tears off tender pieces of fish while watching the fire, his expression focused and tranquil. After clearing the remnants, he stands to organize his gear with swift movements. He slides his hunting knife back into its leather sheath. Stepping out of the shelter, he prepares to begin the afternoon's camouflage work, transitioning from peaceful sustenance to rigorous exterior fortification, leaning numerous leafy branches against the outer walls and stone pillars. He gradually conceals the conspicuous gray stones beneath a lush green cover. As dusk falls with clouds drifting across the sky, he rests sideways on the stone bed inside, lulled into sleep by the faint firelight. Later, he brings a prepared wooden frame to the window opening, carefully embedding it into the reserved space in the stone wall. Adjusting the frame from both inside and out ensures a perfect fit, while the transparent material provides natural light and essential wind resistance. He holds a clump of fresh forest moss, meticulously stuffing it into the gaps between the window frame and the rough stone wall to create an airtight seal. With the heavy wooden door finally complete, he struggles to carry it back to the entrance, testing its fit and swing within the door frame. Crouching beside it, he carefully installs metal hinges and a wooden latch, fine-tuning the lock for security. Sitting on the stone steps, he uses his hunting knife to peel and carve a natural branch into a rustic-shaped handle. He nails the carved branch handle to the wooden door, pushing and pulling to test its sturdiness with a satisfied look. Using a hand axe and hammer, he fixed his boards to the support frame, crafting a simple yet stable chair back and seat. He wedges a board into the stone wall crevice, using the rock's grip to support the tabletop while adjusting it level. With the chair placed before the table, the indoor workspace takes its initial shape. He drives a branch hook high into the wall, hanging his tactical backpack to complete the storage arrangement and keep the floor clear. Moving outside, he uses a small shovel to dig 2 deep pits on the steep slope, preparing to bury support posts for a new bench. He spans a crossbeam across the posts, securing it with iron nails to form a sturdy framework. Seated on the newly completed bench, he takes a deep breath, fully appreciating the serene forest landscape before him. He carries a large bundle of green moss to the shelter entrance, crouching on the stone path to lay it with gentle, deliberate care. His hands press the plants into every crevice, ensuring uniform coverage across the surface. Satisfied with the result, he brushes dirt from his hands and turns to pile fine, dry firewood in the center of the fire pit. He crouches down to ignite it with practiced natural ease. He sits by the stone wall, sipping water while watching the fire, his expression relaxed. The camera lingers on the flames and the flowing creek behind. He savors the quiet woods, firelight flickering on his face. Later, he leaves the shelter, walking down stone steps to the stream amid lush forest. After washing, he wipes his face and returns up the slope to his haven.